With no NBA basketball on election night, last night was jam-packed with 15 games. We're going to talk about some of those games. Plus, Joel Embiid has a promising return date now for when he could return back to the basketball court, plus the Cavs and the Thunder stay unbeaten. We're going to talk about all that and more on today's NBA Central.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content today, y'all. And so Paul George made his return to the Philadelphia 76ers yesterday. And while it wasn't necessarily the best game, Paul George did have more turnovers and things. Then he had more turnovers than anything else when it comes down to it at 6. That was more than field goals or assists when it came down to it. He had 4 of those each apiece. But at the end of the day, down the stretch of this game, the Philadelphia 76ers were in an opportunity to still win this game, even with how it went. And Paul George made a mistake, and he said this: I thought we were down 1. I thought when KD made the layup, that put them up 1. Otherwise, go for 3 and try to win the game as opposed to going for 2 and to tie the game. So after watching it, another boneheaded play. Again, in that situation, why not go for the win? I got my matchup. Kyle did great job putting a favorite matchup in that position. I got a good look. It rimmed in and out. You live with that at the end of the day. KD dropped 35 points. And the Phoenix Suns have started the season 6-1. Despite my doubt on the Phoenix Suns and what they could do in the season, they are playing really good basketball right now. And played spoiler to Paul George's debut. Now, while everything wasn't great, he was 4-14 from the field, was Paul George, for 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and those 6 turnovers, which we did talk about. But overall, what we did see is that the way that teams are going to have to play Paul George, it's going to open up the court for more of his teammates. Tyrese Maxey still had 32 points in this game. We had 19 points from Yabusele coming off the bench as well. But at the end of the day, Paul George's return is a good thing for this Philadelphia 76ers team. There's definitely some kinks that have to be worked out and things like that. It's good to see Tyrese Maxey get on it when it comes down to it. But KD just took over the game down the stretch for his team, and he hit a game winner and won the game for them. And that's just is what it is, right? Now, while the Phoenix Suns have had a really good start to the season at being 6-1, right? The Philadelphia 76ers are trying to get there. They're 1-5 on the season, but on top of Paul George's return, they got some more good news this morning when it came out that Joel Embiid could return early as Wednesday, November 6th, against the Los Angeles Clippers. This one's comes from Sam Amick from the Athletic. And, we'll see. It's still a big question mark because of outside of the injury. Still don't know if the NBA is going to suspend him for his altercation with the reporter. But right now, with the Philadelphia 76ers and what they've been through the start of this season, getting Joel Embiid potentially back, Paul George's debut when it comes down to that, these are some really good things that could help the Philadelphia 76ers get to where they ultimately want to be this season. Still going to be some balancing out. Still going to be some time to really things to acclimate and everybody kind of fit into their role. But Paul George and his adaptability was evident in this game. He just has to make better shots, right? And if he does that, it's going to work out in the long run. It's going to take some time, practice some patience, but at least for that debut of Paul George, there are some good things to take away with it. Still a lot of bad to take away with it. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but here's one thing that you can look at it and say this: they were still in position to try to win that game, right? And that's not something that you've been able to say a lot about Philadelphia 76ers. And so with Paul George getting his return yesterday and potentially Joel Embiid returning tomorrow, this could be one of the weeks where things start looking up for the Philadelphia 76ers by the end of this week. Now, the wins may not come right away. It's going to take some time, right? You're going to have to practice some patience, and the Philadelphia 76ers are going to have a period of time where they're waiting it out. Every time a player comes back from an injury, there's a time period of kind of reacclimating and things like that. And that's if you're on the same team that you were. This is a new team for Paul George, a new team in a lot of ways from top to bottom that is trying to figure it out. And with Joel Embiid coming back and being, that team's franchise player, hopefully things start reporting as well. So we'll see what the NBA does for Joel Embiid. If a suspension ends up coming down, maybe even before he makes his debut on Wednesday, maybe it doesn't come down outside of that. But overall, this game with the Philadelphia 76ers and the Phoenix Suns was a fun game to watch overall, and it was a fun night of basketball. One of the highlights of this night of basketball as well was Steph Curry. His return as well, 24 minutes. All he needed was 24 minutes for 24 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds. He went 7 of 15 from the field. And when you look at this Golden State Warriors team, who's also 6-1 on this season so far, you look at their point differential, you look at what they're doing, how they were able to stay afloat, even while Steph was out. This team is winning by an average of 17.3 points per game, which they were leading until coming in last night with what the Oklahoma City Thunder did. We'll talk about that. But the fact that they've been able to stay this good while Steph was out and still win basketball games. Keep in mind, this is a team that's reportedly interested in moving on from maybe one of the young pieces to bring in a veteran star who's ready to go now. If they're able to do that, you could very well see this Golden State Warriors team make some noise in the Western Conference, both in the regular season and in the playoffs. And so they came up against Jordan Poole and the Washington Wizards. Poole did lead his team in scoring with 24 points as well. And actually, even though there was some shit talking during the game in which Steph Curry made a shot and Draymond pointed to Jordan Poole, Draymond actually had some good words to say about Jordan Poole after the game, saying this: he's playing a lot better. His shot selection, you come into a new situation as a competitor, you want to show everything. I think last year he was pressing. He wanted it so bad. He's settling in. Last year were bad shots, but he wanted it so bad. And so even Draymond Green saying some positive things. And we got to talk about Draymond for a second here, right? I just want to spend some time talking about Draymond Green real quick if you guys can humor me for a while. Draymond, after the game where he locked up basically Zion Williamson, which he did, right? And then on top of that, he scored 14 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 blocks. That was in the game against the Pelicans, not last night against the Washington Wizards. But when you look at it, Draymond said this, that he wants to be one of the best defenders in the game. So I spent all summer watching everyone talk about Chet Holmgren and Wemby and what they're doing defensively. Don't forget about Dre. Every game, I'm coming out here motivated defensively to get back on the first team on defense. Steve Kerr also following it up by saying this: he's still one of the best defenders in the world, that's for sure. The way he battled out there, but also the way he led, his energy, talking to the team at timeouts and halftime, he was fantastic. And Draymond Green is putting up his best defensive rating since the 2021-22 season by far. Draymond Green over the last 2 seasons prior to this one had a defensive rating of 112 and 111.5. He's down to 100.5 so far through the first 7 games of this season. Draymond is back locked in defensively. Does he still make bad shots? Yes. Does he still average a triple single? Yes. But as we know, for defense, it's not all about the averages and what the raw numbers tell you. If Steph is going to keep playing like this, Dre is going to be locked in defensively like we know that he can do and he's done in the past. Then you got Buddy Hield playing at the level that he's playing as well, coming off the bench for this team. I'll tell you what, it's not that I'm ready to pick the Warriors to win a Western Conference Finals or even necessarily make it to the Western Conference Finals, but this is going to be a team that's a good team to watch during the regular season this year because they are going to win a lot of basketball games if they keep up playing this way. And it's just huge to watch how this team is breaking down opposing teams and how they're attacking, right? This team is able to find such balance, even with Kuminga going to the bench. I know it's not something that Kuminga has necessarily been the biggest fan of, but Kuminga's been playing some of his best basketball, and maybe it's been a motivator for him as well. And so especially in a game like last night where Podziemski, we don't know what's going to go on with him. He went down. He could be out for a little while. But overall, what this Golden State Warriors team has done through the start of this season has been really good and really fun to watch. And the amount of points they're beating these teams by has been really crazy. And so the Golden State Warriors continue to be a team that proves when you count them out, you better make sure that they're dead because, listen, they find a way to keep being effective, keep coming back, winning basketball games. Trace Jackson Davis is playing really well, is also finding his rhythm. This team, the sky is the ceiling for this team is yet to be scratched, especially with Steph missing the time that he missed. Now you get Steph back, even if he is on a minutes restriction. If he's playing like this, man, the Warriors are in for a show this season. So it's going to be really fun to watch to see how that continues to develop for this team over the course of this season. But we talked about KD's game winner, but there was another game winner yesterday. Domantas Sabonis in the game with the Kings versus the Miami Heat absolutely balled out. And overall, when you look at how this team and the balance is starting to be struck between Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, and De'Aaron Fox, they're getting there, right? And we talked about it before, how there's always an acclimation period for when you have to play with DeMar DeRozan. DeMar has to play in such a particular way. He's still very effective at it. Last night, getting to the free throw line 5 times in a key stretch for them, also hitting a crucial and one for them as well. this team is starting to find its balance, and I tell you what, they're 4-3 right now, but you better watch out. De'Aaron Fox scoring 23 points in the game yesterday. Through the first just 3 quarters of night, he was on attack all night last night. You look at Malik Monk and the big dunk that he hit as well to put that team up by 1 point. DeMar DeRozan, his 26 points, going 10 of 18 from the field. And then Domantas Sabonis, 6 for 12, 16 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists. Domantas Sabonis absolutely played amazingly well yesterday, and it was just great to see what it came down to. What this team and how this team has been playing has been great to see. It's been really good to see, and they're really figuring it out as it comes to them. Do they have it all figured out right now? Hell no, they don't. And they're not going to right away. But this is a team that is starting to show, hey, they can be a factor in this Western Conference. Now, how far they'll go, that depends on how you look at them. I think it still stands in how much balance they find defensively. Keegan Murray with 14 points today, he's finding his way as well. Malik Monk contributing off that bench for sure for this team. But watch out for the Sacramento Kings, because this is a team that outside of the game winner, as they continue to find their balance, I think this is a team to watch in the Western Conference, and they can definitely make some noise out here. But let's get into kind of the main topic today. The Thunder and the Cavs both stay unbeaten, and the run that both these teams are on so far this season has been really special to see. Now, the Cavs did beat the Milwaukee Bucks last night, 116-114. Take that for what you will. But when you look at the way that Darius Garland played in this game, 39 points, which was the highest that he scored since December of 2022, where he scored 46 points against the Nets in a loss. He did this in a win today. And Darius Garland saying this: my head is free. I'm playing freely. Confidence is super high. Teammates got my back. That is just going to make me keep going even harder. I really appreciate my teammates and my coaching staff for sure. Just keeping my confidence super high, just keeping my head level, and just telling me to be me. That's what I'm going to do for the rest of the season. And I tell you what, with what they're able to do, the fact that it's a different player every single night. We talked about the last game, it was Evan Mobley. You already know that Donovan Mitchell was a threat to go off every single game. He only scored 14 points last night, going an inefficient 5 of 15 from the field, but this team was still able to win this basketball game, getting contributions from Merrill off the bench with 12 points, getting 17 points from Evan Mobley, getting 14 points from Jared Allen, and Darius Garland being able to go 15 of 22 from the field, 7 of 11 from three-point range, 2 of 2 from free throws, also chipping in 8 assists. Darius Garland is playing with confidence, and overall, this Cleveland Cavaliers team is playing with much more balance than I think we've ever really seen this version of the Cavaliers team have. And it's amazing to do, because I for one, I'll say it to myself, I did not come into the season thinking that the Cavs were necessarily going to be able to strike that balance. And they continue to show night in and night out through this early part of the season that they are having that balance. And this is a really good time. If you can do this at the start of the season, it gives you a nice base to default to. When you start facing some adversity, because it will come at some point this season, when you start facing that adversity, you have this to go off on. They're spreading the ball around. Everybody's getting involved. Everybody's having fun. The Cavs are out there attacking, and it's really good to see how it's looking for this team and what they're able to do. It's been extremely fun to watch, and I hope that it really does continue, man. It really, hey, this has been a fun team to watch. And then you turn around and look at the Thunder. The Thunder just continue to do and be special defensively, especially. How special this Thunder team is defensively cannot be overlooked. And while, yes, they have Chet, they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doing great things offensively, but the defense that they've played with so far, man, it's been crazy and amazing to see, because they absolutely shut teams down defensively. And everybody understands their role. That's what makes this team so special. And they haven't even had the player that they spent a lot of money to acquire in the offseason in Isaiah Hartenstein, so we don't even know right now the ceiling of this team either. Chet only scored 14 points against the Orlando Magic last night. You got from Jalen Williams 23 points, 21 points from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Alex Caruso with 21 minutes off the bench, but playing an important role. But the thing that makes this so special is that while they could rest on their laurels or boast or whatever, be proud, they don't seem like they're satisfied, right? They don't seem like they're satisfied yet. Jalen Williams saying this: it's cool for sure, talking about their run. I don't think we'll get too ahead of ourselves. We got to play another good team. We'll have fun on this 3-hour flight back, then it's kind of right back to it. It's definitely a cool thing to write your name in history and have this be our start. But obviously, we know what we want to do down the line. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander adding this in. There's 76 games left. We're not even close to what we need to accomplish or what we want to accomplish. We obviously winning so big, so yeah, it's cool. We're not satisfied at all. And that is what you want to hear from a young team that is doing this for the first time, right? As far as this type of run, you want to hear that they're not done. They're still hungry when it comes down to it. But what this team, what the OKC Thunder are doing defensively, like I said, the defense is the special part of it. Now, they, of course, aren't perfect. They have some times they're making some shots down the stretch of the things and stuff like that. But overall, right now, what the Thunder are doing to be 6-0 at this part of the season, it's been great and amazing to watch. And I hope that it continues because, listen, you got two players in Shai and Chet that are such great pillars to build around, and Jalen Williams taking another step up, right? These type of things, like the growth and development of this team and the fact that no matter what they accomplish or don't accomplish this season, it's still not done. They're still not remotely even close to being done because they have so many players that still have a ton of room left to grow and to scratch the surface. They're barely scratching the surface of their game. To see the Cavs and the Thunder do what they're doing at the early part of the season, it's been fun to watch. It's going to be fun to see who's the last unbeaten team left, things like that. But overall, right now, when you look at the power rankings that was released, listen, the Thunder, of course, at the top of it, as they should be, because they're killing it right now. Them and the Cavs, number one, number two, it's academic at this point, right? And so as this season continues to go and we see what the ebbs and flows are going to be, I can't wait to see which one of these teams faces the adversity first because, again, it's coming, right? I want to keep being clear on that. It's definitely coming. It's not done yet. But so far, when you look at the power rankings so far, who would have thought this? Number one in the NBA's power rankings, the Thunder. Number two, the Cavs. Number three, the Celtics. Number four, the Suns. And number five, the Warriors. These teams have been stepping up. These teams have been playing good. And this has been one of the more entertaining starts of an NBA season in quite a while from top to bottom and just what you're able to see. So let's hope that it continues, man. But that's my time for today. Make sure you guys are following the show at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything basketball related. And we'll see you guys the next time I feel like making a video. Probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.